hold on, before we go any further, between going through my notes here and doing this review, you may be wondering, why is this an episode of the shit show, TBH? Okay, major spoiler alert, obviously. So if you're here, you're in for the ride. The big spoiler / twist of this film, people, just listen to me. The aliens, they hate water, so much so that it hurts them, right? Yet, they come to a planet such as Earth that is primarily blue. Our planet is mostly water, bitch. Dumbass. What's going on, everyone? The Bad Habits here, aka TBH. Welcome to the shit show. Signs. Starring Mel Gibson and Joaquin Phoenix, the story focuses on a former priest named Graham Hess who discovers a series of crop circles in his cornfield, and that the phenomenon is a result of extraterrestrial life. Signs explores the themes of faith, kinship, and extraterrestrials. One of the first things I want to talk about this movie is the score. Okay, the opening credits. This isn't one of those movies that shows a scene and then we get the title card and credits. No, we get credits first, and that score, it just comes in heavy. I was always a big fan of this one. Overall, seeing this intro with Graham and Meryl waking up to the sound of the kid yelling, this reminded me of the opening of Scary Movie 3. That's something I need to cover one day, for sure.
She broke her wiener?
So we are introduced to these characters. Graham, played by Mel Gibson, Meryl by Joaquin Phoenix. We also meet Abigail Breslin, who plays Bo. And last but not least, Rory Culkin plays the son named Morgan. Both of these kids, they're fucking weird. I don't really know what to tell you folks. I want to put it simple, and I don't want to be a dick, because I know how kids are. They're just trying to figure it out, figure out their place in the world. But these kids, they're from a different planet. Bo has a thing where she can never finish a glass of water. There's always a reason why she can't finish it. It's dust, hair, someone sipped it, which, I get that part. That's kind of her thing. It's kind of like the lights are on, no one's home. She's so focused on what she cares about. She's a fucking kid, so I get it. But Morgan, his whole thing is, I guess, he likes books and he has asthma. A really horrible case of asthma. So much so that all these things I'm mentioning, they come back in one way or another later on. I would say this core group of characters and this intro where we zoom out and we see the crop circles, it's etched into my memory forever. That's one thing I'll never be able to put aside, even though I have issues with this movie. Clearly, we're on the shit show, so we're building towards something here. But the crop circles, that's fucking terrifying, even to this day. I just spit so much. Even when the picture quality gets a little grainy and a little disorienting, it's an old movie I'm watching on high definition TV. I get it. Even in those cases, I found the camera work really effective in this one. Also, another pro, the interrelationship between our four core characters, Graham, Meryl, Bo, and Morgan. I really like their interrelationship. Each one has their own personal thing with each other, and then they also can function as a group. They're hardly ever on the same side.
Eat.
I hate you.
That's fine.
But, it's a great dynamic nonetheless. And it felt more natural here than in The Happening, which I hate to keep punching down on, but The Happening is The Happening for a reason. And it will live on forever, possibly even more infamously than this film. I know. Time will tell. We'll see. If I wanted to laugh, I'm putting in The Happening. And since the idea of plants being the villain was sprinkled in a few moments ago, now we have these, horror shots of foliage and grass. You ain't never seen a tree so motherfucking scary in your goddamn life until you seen The Happening. Early on in the film, Graham is woken up by Bo in the most funniest way possible. I love the dialogue mostly in this film too. She wakes him up. If I'm not mistaken, there's a monster outside my window. Can I have a glass of water? Alright, now I guess we'll just skirt past the beginning there and we'll get you something to drink. It turns out though, she's not bullshitting. There really is something outside her window. Next we see Graham and Meryl running around the house trying to chase it, figure out who the fuck it is. Since they're trying to intimidate the invader, they decide to yell obscenity. At one point, Graham, a former priest, he even curses. Unheard of for that Mel Gibson.
I'm losing my mind! It's time for an ass whooping!
He also predicts his near future.
I'm losing my mind!
These two meet around the house, with no suspect in sight. The motherfucker gets away and they just really can't explain it. So then they call the police. In comes the sheriff. One of my favorite characters in this movie. I don't know, she really has this just down-to-earth quality. And in most cases, Shyamalan doesn't always get the best actors or the most believable actors. Marky Mark. So, damn. Sorry, I gotta stop talking about The Happening. The sheriff though, she's only in 2 scenes through the film, and the second scene is a flashback that we'll cut to throughout the film. Her first scene is I guess in a way about her explaining equality to Meryl and Graham, who woke. Let a woman tell you what to do, not me. In actuality, her point is that there's been this really suspicious woman that came into town and she disappeared, so she's definitely high on the suspect list. I'd say she passes the vibe check overall. But our hero, big booty TVs. Our hero is back, people. Shyamalan loves his big booty TVs. He loves to just put his camera in front of it. Shit, I feel like 1/8 of this film is us looking at the big booty TVs. Graham decides it's best for everyone to live in ignorance, so no radio, no TV. He takes everyone into town to sort of get their minds off of it, have some pizza. Before they have pizza, each character sort of splinters off and has their own side quests. The kids go to a library run by this crazy kook couple. I recognize the husband from Blood In, Blood Out. He plays Big Bob, if I'm not mistaken. But also the sheriff in Blair Witch 2. I gotta cover that on this show someday, for sure. Meanwhile, Meryl heads to, it looks like a recruitment center for the military. He runs into this weird dude who barely blinks at all. He's just overall really unsettling, but I couldn't stop watching him. Dude is on another level. And Graham, he ends up going to the pharmacy for Morgan's medication. Lo and behold, Denise from Walking Dead shows up and she needs a quick confessional. And I mentioned how he's not a priest anymore. So, we already have that crisis of faith going on. And Denise, you're just not helping. He eventually reunites with his family. They all have pizza. And then insert the director himself, M. fucking Night Shyamalan. His character is really important in this film. I know he gets a lot of criticism for inserting himself into his movie, especially, what's it, Lady in the Water, where he's like the writer that's gonna save the world or some shit. I need to rewatch that. I was 12. He gets a lot of criticism in this film, particular signs. Oh wow, he disappeared. But yeah, he's real fucking subtle. This character has a lot of heart to him. He's clearly in a lot of pain and he just wants to be forgiven for what he's done. What has he done? We don't know, people. We don't know. As of right now, if this was my first time seeing this film in 2024, I'm thinking, shit, Mel Gibson's about to have an episode. Is he drinking? I mean, come on. It looks like Mel Gibson wrote this scene. And it's looking racist as fuck. Graham simply has had enough at this point. He's like, fuck it, let's just head home. This is where they encounter a signal of sorts via baby monitor. I didn't mention it, but the sheriff planted this seed that baby monitors are like a one-way walkie-talkie, which, yeah, I get it. Really cool idea. So Morgan decides to use Bo's baby monitor, and in the car they encounter the signal. I love how Meryl is so dismissive of this shit. I mean, he's not wasting any time. He's not even looking at Morgan talking about this shit. He's just like, well, whatever, kid. It's just a bunch of losers without girlfriends. 2 minutes later, this motherfucker is a full-on believer, and he is helping them get higher so they can hear more. This motherfucker just 180'd so goddamn fast. I actually really appreciate this scene though, because in a way, even though Graham is left on his own as the only skeptic at this point, they're all physically connected. You know, they're all holding each other up the car, which, you know, I don't know, this might be a little corny for me to say, but I like that element. They were, you know, working together, even though someone clearly didn't want to be there. Really soon after, we see Graham going out into the cornfield alone at night. He has to fuck around and find out. This is some white people shit, y'all, okay? Yeah, I know I'm mixed. I'm sorry, Mom. I love you. I wouldn't be doing this shit. No way. Nope. Nope. And it fucking scars him. He's seen some shit that night. I don't think he explains it to anyone. I think he keeps it to himself. Now he's fully reintegrated into his crisis of faith. This discussion on the couch while the kids are asleep, this might be my favorite scene in the movie, if I'm being honest. There's so much going on behind this character. We sort of get the beginning of Graham learning the news of his wife's impending death. As of right now, she's pinned behind a tree. They say if they move the truck that she would die immediately. So it's keeping her together, and they wanted her to have a few more moments with Graham before they turn the lights out, so to speak. It's fucking great work, man. It reminds me of why, like, Mel Gibson was such a, you know, a highly regarded actor, especially during this time. He very clearly and quickly explains his motivation as to why he stopped becoming a priest. Meryl isn't liking what he's hearing, of course, but shit, man, he asked. You got the truth. I'm fucking enthralled as the camera just focuses on Graham and, you know, the occasional reaction shots to Meryl. This is a great scene. And Meryl's such a dullard, you know, you gotta love him, but yeah, he's not really bringing much to that table right now. He doesn't quite grasp what's going on, and he quickly descends into magnets. Almost said descends into magnets.
Yeah, bitch! Magnets! Oh!
Meryl descends slowly, I will say, into madness. This is pre-Joker, by the way. But, you know, 5 or so minutes later, next time we see this motherfucker, he's got a goddamn tinfoil hat. Not that there's anything wrong with that, of course. I mean, I get it. I was gonna wear mine anyway. Had nothing to do with this movie or the review. Another pro I want to get into about signs. Yes, ignore this. We're gonna rock this for the rest of the review, by the way. One of the pros I want to get into is the dialogue in this film. I find myself laughing with the dialogue a lot of times versus at the dialogue. Sorry, Marky Mark.
What? No!
It's very consistent throughout. I mean, from beginning to end, someone will say something off the cuff, and, you know, I chuckle. I laugh quite a bit. So, you know, I will say it holds up in that regard. Ray, played by Shyamalan, his character calls Graham and quickly hangs up. So Graham decides to Scooby-Doo this shit and he investigates. Here's where I say Shyamalan's character is a great tragic character. He really gets to express the things he's had on his chest for, I don't know, 6 months now. You know, this is sort of like his last chance. He doesn't know if he's going to live or die anyway, but he's heading off to a place near water because that's his theory. That seed really gets planted into Graham's mind. So Ray fucks off, he apologizes, and Graham heads into the house. People, okay, I just rewatched this film this morning. That's why I'm doing this review, which will be out of order by the time it's posted. Who knows, I might not even be at this set here. I might be at the new apartment. I don't know. I mentioned how the crop circles are iconic. I would say this scene right here might top it because Graham, you know what? No, actually, I'm not gonna spoil it all for you. I think you need to watch this. It's super scary to me, even though I've seen this movie a million times in the 20 plus years. But I'm not gonna spoil this entirely for you. I will say that it's unforgettable to me, and a lot happens, but not a lot happens. You know, it's not a bloodbath. You know, Graham doesn't go, Sigourney Weaver on him and just destroy the place. No, it's not that. But what happens there is unforgettable. And I do have to say one thing. Graham does get into an altercation of sorts, and he injures one of the extraterrestrials. While that's happening, let me not forget, Meryl's at home in the fucking closet watching TV, going insane. He's watching the also super iconic Brazilian birthday party scene. I think that's how it's labeled on YouTube. Something like that. That still image, yeah, as blurry and shitty as you may say it looks today. Once again, another unforgettable moment for young TBH. By the end of this film, which we're not to just yet, faith and crisis of faith, while it's heavy on that throughout, I will say the possibilities or the questions that the characters have within the film, I will say that it makes it kind of 50-50. While the end is very definitive on its stance of, like religion, belief, faith, and all that, throughout most of the film, they leave it open to be 50-50. I gotta appreciate that stance. The third act itself is probably about 30-40 minutes long. It entirely takes place on the farmhouse. We're not leaving, going elsewhere. We step out for a quick second to, feed and take care of Isabel, whom I'm realizing I haven't mentioned at all in this review. In the beginning of the film, they have two dogs named Houdini and Isabel. Houdini is killed by Morgan because he attacks Bo. Houdini was, becoming rabid and inept. He even peed the floor, to which one of the kids suggests they call a vet. Happens to be Ray. That's a nice touch. Graham quickly dismisses that as an option.
Houdini?
But yeah, unfortunately, Houdini is killed. Isabel is left out into the garage, if I'm not mistaken. RIP to you as well. She almost attacks Graham in her last scene. So I get the reason, but damn, people. And now we're confined to the space of this one house. They decide to have one last family dinner / blowout. Pick what you want, we're making that shit. End times are here. The dinner goes horribly, of course, but it does end on a high emotional moment where they're all just scared and, they're sort of lashing out at each other. Just as the home invasion begins, shit's getting real. Mel Gibson even says it's happening. And even though Shyamalan movies are usually made on a low budget, they're often really cheap. The low budgetness of it all, in this case, it actually works with the story. It ends up feeling, intimate and small, but still has a little bit of a grand sense of scale, considering this is happening everywhere. A con I do want to get into, though, at this point, the aliens are banging at the door, trying to get in the house. They do get in, of course, but we're just standing there without any weapons of any types. The adults are standing behind the kids. What are we doing? We gotta do something here, right? Where's the fucking hammer that you used to board up the house? Fuck, use a board. I don't know. Kitchen knives. Come on. Except, hold on, what am I saying? Let me do a little bit of foreshadowing here. This place is armed with a lot of weapons. Weapons that we'll use really soon. but not yet. We run into the basement, which is full of instant atmosphere. We have a coal chute, which is a second entrance into the basement. We have no lights because Meryl knocks it out. Meryl! Got it!
Why the fuck would that happen?
It's cheap as fuck. It's cheap as all hell. But I'm rolling with it and, even laugh my ass off. Morgan finds out the hard way that these things can camouflage. We get someone in a goddamn spray painted oven mitt who attacks Morgan. Unfortunately, this causes a huge asthma attack. Too bad his medicine's upstairs because guess we weren't thinking about that. But Graham is able to save him somehow. He's able to calm him down and use the power of Jesus. I don't know. But luckily for Morgan, he lives to see the next day at least. And now the aliens are reported to be leaving. Apparently they're ditching the wounded behind. So, at least the healthy ones are on their way back up. I guess if you stubbed your toe or, lost a finger or something, I guess you're fucked. Hold up. Didn't Graham injure one?
Holy Jesus.
And it has Morgan? Sucks to be you. I'm sorry for my overacting here. I'm having a great time. What are we gonna do? We're gonna cut to the final part of that flashback where we reveal that Graham's wife was conscious for a few moments and she was seemingly spitting out just a few random things that came to her mind. As it plays out, it's revealed that she saw the signs, or, she gave Graham the signs. I don't know. She was a integral part of what's happening right now with the alien invasion. It may seem disconnected, but it turns out her final words are prophetic. She tells Graham to see and Meryl to swing away. So how does that translate into what's happening currently? Graham looks to the side and see Meryl's cherished world record bat, which for context, he was a semi-professional player who broke a lot of records. And he just fucking goes to town on this alien. I mean, he's swinging like one of the baseball furies from the Warriors. But it's not really working though. Not until he bumps a table or a stand of some sorts that's holding one of Bo's contaminated glasses of water. Do you remember that plot point, people? Yes, I mentioned it earlier. Bo never finishes a glass of water. And I should have peppered it throughout this review, but that plot point is never forgotten. So throughout the goddamn house, we just got clusters of glasses of water. Alien knocks one over, it fucking hurts him. That's where this movie turns into what we're watching right now, an episode of the shit show. Here's the big reveal, and it's so fucking dumb. And to top it off, before the movie actually ends, I gotta say, while Graham is putting it all together, the signs, the directive choice to spoon feed us every bit of that flashback, I felt that it was a bad choice. It's just like, they didn't trust us to understand, and we got it. It still doesn't make sense. That's the problem. The threat is killed. Morgan is brought back once again. Graham's faith is renewed and he goes back to the church. This is one of those Shyamalan films that I think belongs in the higher tier, if I'm being honest with you. This is not The Last Airbender or Lady in the Water. This is a legit good movie, but it's marred by the stupid decision to the goddamn weakness is water. And it's like, so if it rained, which it does on planet Earth, if it rained one night, they're fucked. And it's just like, this is the weakest threat. It's almost a shame. If the rest of the film wasn't so good, this would have got a rating of lowbrow fuckery. But high class fuckery is the final rating for this film. Yes, after all I've said, I really didn't have a lot of cons. The ones that I had were major, don't get me wrong. And, this is a quantity versus quality sort of situation, I can't take away that I really enjoyed my time with this film. It doesn't overstay. It's less than 2 hours. It's acted really well. So yeah, on the regular scale, I'm gonna give this a rating of add it to the collection, and that is no sarcasm whatsoever. It's just a good movie. I recommend you watch it, make up your own decision. Let me know what you thought about that part I refuse to talk about in the review. The part at Ray's house. If you know, you know. And if you haven't seen it, just check it out. Let me know. Thank you so much. I've been The Bad Habits, aka TBH. And I'm signing out, y'all. Deuces.